Welcome back to the Twin Chickens podcast, man. Yeah, we have so many amazing things happening today, man. So, wow. Not only is we doing it again, but we have someone very special in the studio that I've been trying to get for like months now, man. And every time I try to talk to this guy, he just he's always busy. He's always doing something, hooking up with chicks, whatever.
Right.
So many things, man. But first, we got Abino. And on the right there, we can see him clearly, Mr. Kevin Walsh. Dude, what is up?
Dude, not shit. Let's see. I got new glasses.
Fantastic!
That's probably like one of the more exciting things. No, a whole lot's been up. I think from the get-go, the year from COVID was strange, but I think overall beneficial to everything in my life. Not like that. That sounds like everybody's like suffering and agony was like somehow beneficial towards me. But I think it helped me like grow a little more inward, which was definitely like more positive than
most.
Right.
Yeah, and that's actually part of our topic of conversation here. As one of the things of how did you handle COVID?
For me,
hold your thoughts and actually collect them. Well, we'll get into the show. I actually like to start the show with a little clip, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty with this for sure. So first of all, let's start with this. Oh, and do you have anything you want to promote before we start?
Let's see. I guess my tournament, which I'll get into every Thursday in Roseville Fantasy Flight Game Center. If you play Super Smash Bros, come through.
That's my shit right there, man.
Hell yeah.
That's the good stuff. And his Twitter handle will be on the screen. It'll also be in the description below. But for right now, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Let's do a little test.
I kind of like the way this looks. What do you guys think? The biggest question is, any girls out there want to sit on my face?
Fantastic. So, have you had a girl sit on your face before, Kev? Or
it's the early morning, and I'll be truthful in saying yeah, I have actually.
Dude, fantastic, man.
I can't say I asked like that. That
pretty straightforward. You don't find yourself actually trying that difficult, right, to get women to sit on your face?
If only it was that easy. That's all I'm saying. Like if I could just pull it off to be like, hey, is that in the cards?
Yeah.
Like, is that a possibility?
Right.
Does it all it take is just a question? Be like, hey, would you sit on my face? With direct eye contact.
Yeah.
And just I love leaving long pauses. Because it allows people to embrace the silence.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that feels so empowering for me conversationally. I do it too much, and also I'm good with silence. So if I ask a question, I'm good not answering for a good couple minutes.
Yeah.
Like saying anything.
Collect your thoughts.
Yeah, and so people will just be like, not sure how to respond to certain questions.
Right.
If it's of a certain caliber, I guess.
If it's like this. Well, I didn't mean to embarrass you, guy. It was just, I'm curious, like, someone like you who's a very handsome guy. I'm just curious, like, how has your love life been throughout this entire time, like, pandemic-wise and just overall?
Love life, huh?
Yeah, man.
Let's see. So, over COVID, I think the other part that demolished me, I had my second real heartbreak.
My boy.
It was tough, but it was just COVID. Like, it really was. Like, there were no like ill feelings or like, it wasn't this huge blowout. It was just like space and time, and it's hard when everybody's kind of dealing with their own anxieties, their own battles, and like when you're not able to connect with your partner throughout that. It just creates this huge gap of space that, in the end, was a little too much. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's part of the treatment, man.
That's
part
right.
of it works.
But so now it's just kind of been processing, and I guess you could say I'm in my hoe phase as I'm wearing all this all this.
Yeah. That's good, man. And what about for you, Evan? Obviously, your love life right now is in a bit of a tumble.
Tumbleweeds.
Can't imagine it's any good.
No, it's fucking terrible. I haven't actively pursued relationships for a while, and I've just been like, I don't know, enjoying just meeting new people.
Oh yeah.
And I fucked around on like Bumble and Tinder, but I only like ever went on 2 like actual dates. I don't take like dating apps seriously at all.
Yeah, I mean,
but
they're all kind of facetious in a way, you know.
Ironically, I met this cool new person, and ended up she knows my friends, and they've known each other for like lifelong.
I actually met one of her best friends from her childhood thingy last week in band practice.
No way.
Like, how the fuck? How does this happen?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love coincidences like that, where it's a small world.
It makes you believe in Jesus, doesn't it?
And repent for your sins.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the good stuff in between.
Good stuff, man. Well,
How about yourself? Tell me about what your love life's been.
dude, I've been so lonely throughout this pandemic. It's been terrible. No, man, I throughout this pandemic, as you kind of see, like I actually haven't done a studio video for my VVR channel, Visual Variety Radio, where I actually show people what my apartment looks like. But I used the pandemic to actually start working on the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to take this year fresh, right? And actually try to achieve a goal. And if you see on the whiteboard over there, like it has a bunch of stuff of like how I orientate my day, and then there's another whiteboard over there that tells me
nice.
All that stuff. But essentially, it's about like structuring myself when the year started, and then obviously the pandemic, when the shutdown actually happened, has been like didn't really affect me too much, which is kind of like stupid to say in a way, because like it affects people differently. There's other people that actually got hit harder, and actually people have lost lives and family members and all that stuff. For me, I'm more of a, not a shut-in, but I use this time to actively start doing things. And I think like with me and Evan, like Evan started actively doing more things on his for other band or piano and all that stuff. And for me, I just didn't want to just not do something. I'm a person that likes and needs to do something, and I get frustrated not doing something.
Sure.
I hate being bored. I hate doing all that stuff. So throughout the pandemic, I learned how to digitally make art, and that's where that little girl, I have a little thing that I made, a little anime chick, which I'll give you today, and stuff like that. Like I used this time to accrue knowledge and to, do that. And then I obviously invested in like stock markets and all that stuff because everything was down. So
I would like to talk about boredom and how that relates to like creativity. What are you guys' thoughts on? I find when I allow boredom to sink in, which doesn't take longer than 20 minutes of doing nothing, 10 maybe, but 20 minutes is a good buffer, that I feel my creativity is just on another level. Or when I started working in a cube, and this has been a couple days now,
right,
and it fucking sucks. And so when I get to go home, I mean, it's not that bad, but when I get to go home, there's so much more there,
right,
to like the pure just repetition of the rest of the day working, or like morning or something.
Right.
My evenings are that much more glorious because it's something more interesting for me. But could you guys elaborate on what you guys have experienced for creativity setting in after a certain period of like boredom?
Creativity setting in after boredom.
I
think for me, I'm kind of polar opposite, to be honest. When I kind of suck up the energy of like those around me. And so when I usually get back from like work or something, I am polar opposite from creative mode. I'm like, I've been bogged down by the creativelessness of my job. And so I don't know, when I'm around, and I think that's why I thrive so much when when I'm in a group setting for like music, you know, say, or when I'm with you guys or Graham or Aaron, and we're all just kind of funking out and jamming. That's when I'm like peak stimulated, like so much creativity.
Do you feel like you would ever want to follow that or pursue that at all?
Music, man. It feels like such an airy thing to chase. You know what I mean? Like I could never like have it.
Yeah.
You know, because I would always want to keep getting more and more and more.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole that you just keep slipping into and just keep going down.
Exactly like a rabbit hole. And so I think while I would love to chase it and to like pursue it, I don't know. I'm still working on finding that confidence within myself to like believe that, you know, maybe that is in the realm of possibilities, or, you know, maybe that is something that I could do, you know, years from now, or better yet, as a career.
Right.
So.
Well, the way I see it is that, like, for me, I don't really have, like, boredom sets in, like we were talking about before. It's tough. It's tough for me to put into words because when I get home, I'm seething in anger. So I'm always angry, and I hate that. I hate that about myself because like there's not so much of what happened at work. Sometimes, yeah, there are things that affect me at work. And
have you been taking your hibiscus?
I haven't, but today I have. I started today because I needed to be in a very good constant state. But what ends up happening is like when I get home, I start to see the life around me of like, oh my God, I have 3 hours before I have to go to bed. I need to do something. So either like working on a little bit of audio, drawing for 2 hours, I need to do something to scratch that itch, you know? Because if I don't, I start to feel like shit. Like my life isn't going nowhere. I'm not going to be anything, and I can't make financial independence for myself. I start to get all of those thoughts, and it just helped me sleep better too. Because like people that can't sleep at night, which like I developed like that kind of thing where I just have all these negative thoughts in my head at night, and I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. So it actually equated to me actually before I sleep doing something productive. It makes me feel fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And then I just fucking outlook.
And dude, it's like not looking at your phone like the hour before you go to bed.
Yeah.
It's what like the first and last things you do before when you're sleeping are like the critical points of your life. Like what you feed yourself. Even during the day, I'm trying to look at my phone less and be less consuming of media,
right,
or just whatever content, I should say, and filling it with more me.
Yeah.
Like whether it's creative or just taking the time to be by myself in silence, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
In a way of letting the boredom set in, I feel like I can also get in touch and learn who I am as a self. I'm finding my mind is being blown when I spend more time. Like I don't meditate much, but of like
really
the few times I like drink tea and just sit down for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't imagine what people feel like after an hour. I don't sit down enough with myself, and I don't know, the way I feel after I like either open my eyes or get up from a meditative state.
Right.
It's something else.
It is, man, because you actually like you take it all in. You know, you unfold yourself and you take what your life is, was, and can be all in a singular point. That's what I achieved meditation through that kind of stance. And then I burst myself like, fuck, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
And then I start to like actively do something, and it pumps my blood. It's weird because like I calm myself down, I think about all these things, and then I just shoot back up like fuck in a way. But Kevin, I thought you were back in college, because we used to go to the same college together, theater.
Yes.
You were a theater kid.
I was.
So
yes.
I thought, like, for me, going to theater was a fucking awakening when I took theater 1 and 2, because it got me out of my shell in like a most profound way.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that did that for you and like for yourself moving forward? You know, all that sort of stuff.
I absolutely. I think about my time in theater. I started doing theater my freshman year of high school, kind of by accident, because my friend's mom, they're kind of like my second family. She was the director in my high school. And with her being kind of an important figure in my life, she convinced me to try theater. And I think more so than not, theater has given me tons of benefits. I mean, as far as being like comfortable in social settings, like knowing it helps me with opportunity even, like that whole it's a theater mentality of the yes and, you know, like you in a scene you want to say yes to your partner or the person you're working with, and then continue that,
Right.
rather than, you know, no. You know, when somebody says no in a scene, it's like sharp over, you know. There's not really anything to build off of from no, and you can take that silly warm up from theater into real life, and it's like surprisingly helpful. So and it's just, there's really nothing like it. I was talking with a friend of mine just a couple days ago, and and I talked about that feeling that always gets you back, and it's that feeling of opening night, feeling the pressure, feeling everything of like 3 months built up. And now it's go time, you know, it's show time. It's time to get out there and show off like what you've been practicing.
Right.
And talk about a high that you just can never get enough of. You're just like, whew.
Do you ever think of pursuing that?
Out there. Again, it's, I think a lot of this like literally stems to like the fact that I still like am lacking in terms of like belief in my own ability. So to kind of go full circle as to what we were talking about before, you guys were touching on meditation, and I kind of wanted to throw my input in there because throughout COVID, a lot of it was prompted because I was kind of going through a breakup. Like it was, you know, kind of going on its way, you know. It kind of felt like dead man walking status. And so I picked up meditation, and it's really helped me. It's become a grounding technique, you know, like, because I get really locked up here, and like I start knotting my own thoughts like a quilt. And so it just felt like there was never enough time to even like sort through my own thoughts. And so I started walking, actually, and walking and just being outside, and like even I tried pushing myself to walk in conditions that I didn't necessarily think were great, because that was something I was trying to like teach myself, is that it's like to physically teach myself that it's okay to still be present in not perfect conditions, you know?
Right.
Because it's very rare that it's going to be this, you know, perfect layout.
And it never really is, man. Everyone has their own like things inside themselves that like we're all working towards, right? For me, there's, like I said, part of my thing is like working through all my anger and my, not sadness, but just the things that like bring me down, the negativity in my life.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm trying to push back and like hold on to, or not hold on to get rid of. And that's why like I actively try to do something about it. But like most people turn, I don't do drugs like at all, like ever. I drink maybe once every 4 months, right?
A healthy glass of wine.
Yeah, at least I once in a while I like to do that. But it's rare that I actually turn to any drugs or to anything to fill the void that I'm so much lacking in. Because I do have family, but my family's very estranged. They don't provide the love that I want and need, you know? My mom moved to Texas, and she was the only one that actually gave me anything. And my sister is like the sister that lives really close to me, who has, you know, my gave birth to my nephew. She, like, we're working together of like building a very healthy relationship with each other. And it's, you know, it's a little teeter-tatter balance, but it takes effort for sure on all fronts to at least fill in that void somehow of like things that we all need, you know? So I thought it was interesting just hearing you say that. What about for you, Evan? What do you think?
Repeat the question.
Well, what do you think about like how you fill your void in? Because like Kevin, you guys have like the same, almost like the same kind of starting. But Kevin here, you know, he instead of meditating, he does a different thing where he actually goes out and collects his thoughts and all these things and puts it into perspective. For you, you touched upon it already, meditating. But what do you think that you are like trying to take off or trying to overcome?
Definitely, I can highly relate to the COVID experience, and I actually, during that period, went for walks as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a great way to clear my head, especially for having spent such a long, extended periods amount of time in my basement.
Right.
And just to experience fresh air is extremely healthy.
Right.
But besides that, finding my own, I struggle with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I can embrace it, and I feel good when I'm alone at times, and like I'll need my space.
Yeah.
I definitely used to need a lot more space, but I've really grown to enjoying people's company that it's almost addicting.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find the balance for myself of how much social I need, and also to focus on this whole mental change of I guess for me, growing up.
Yeah.
And pursuing and actively being driven, should I say.
Right, because it all pays off in the end. Like, even just doing small things, that's what I was going to tell you, Kevin. Doing small things in your life to put yourself into this... I talked to Evan about this a while ago, too, of a focus mentality. Mm-hmm. Because my uncle told me that there's a difference between being focused and achieving what you want to achieve, because you only have so much time. I have, like, probably 10 years left and I'm dead. So I only have so much time, right? But then there's the getting into a focus mentality, and then just living a fantasy, you know?
Absolutely. And I think it's super important to unlock that for yourself. I'm really trying to work on it, but living in your own fucking, as I call it, heaven. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to be dead to experience something better. Everything I want to experience is in here.
Right.
And working through that as I'm finding relationships as well. It's you can't find happiness you can find it, I guess, through people, but it's all within.
Right.
And so whatever you tell yourself, feed yourself, and want to believe is what you'll start experiencing. So I'm believing and learning self-talk is crazy helpful for my own personal and mental health.
Absolutely.
But fuck, I forgot where we were going with that. But
No,
I kind of like the way this looks.
But we got a little heavy, so let's move on to one of these, man, because we have, like I said, so much more to talk about.
Absolutely.
And I think this...
Dude, what are you carving right now, dude?
What are you sharpening right now?
Dude, you making some type of small, petite structure?
Yeah. So we were talking about hobbies, man. So I love to draw and paint and all that good stuff. Play guitar, piano. Like, I love to actively do something. But in terms of hobbies, Kevin, today's about you, man. What do you like to do for hobbies, man? What's your thing?
Oh, let's see. I would say theater obviously is still up there for me. I've been looking to actually audition for a show coming up. I want to do one at Ashland, which is it's not like a big theater company, but it's like, you know, the next step up.
Pretty known.
Yeah, and so I wanna audition there because it's about time. I like I said, you know, I need to scratch that itch to get back on stage. But the biggest hobbies that we talked about kind of accepting hobbies, so like, you know, doing something and making it a reality. I started streaming over quarantine, which I always thought was like, I had mixed feelings on it, because I was like, you know, it's quarantine, everybody's streaming, like I'm just gonna be the next one in line or whatever. But it's actually been pretty fun, and you know, throughout COVID, I didn't have a job or anything, so even if it was just like $100 to $200 whatever a month, it was still like so cool to be receiving money for, like, you know, playing games and just like chatting with my friends. You know, it was a surreal time.
Yeah.
And now, even better, you know, my project over COVID had been was setting up this tournament that I've been running for 10 weeks now, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, when I went, dude, it was blowing the roof for sure. It was awesome, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky in that sense, because, you know, truly we started that I went up to my friend and I was like, it all started with just me being like, it would be really cool if we ran our own tournament.
Yeah.
And from there, we just, over the course of like 5 months, started piecing it together slowly. And we walked into our first venue, like straight out of like a success story, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like, it just unbelievably worked out. We walked in there, just 2 guys. We had never organized anything. We didn't even have like a name.
Mm-hmm.
We were just 2 guys who had been in the scene for a long time, and we walked in. We were like, "Hey, would you guys be interested in running and hosting a tournament?" And they were like, "Absolutely, we would be." And it was just like, that's what I mean. It was almost so anticlimactic that it was like, wow, I can't really believe that just worked.
It's just that easy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, actually, I don't think it's that anticlimactic, because I actually think, like we were talking about, pursuing a focused passion or focused anything in your life, whatever you want to achieve, and living in a fantasy. You could have chose not to do any of that. Stayed at home on the couch, just smoke some weed, that's it. But you did, and like it's not so anticlimactic. It's more the fact that you went out and you did the thing. And it really, to me, that's like I'm reading way more into this, but back when I was in college, when I wanted to do something, I felt like I had the power to do it. Like all I had to do was just go ask, you know what I mean? And go do that. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not holding people at gunpoint, like, do this or I'm gonna kill you. Like, no, I'm not like that. I'm just like, hey, can we try to do this? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
You know, and then go from there. But it's always about like getting yourself out of that shell. And you did that, which is it's a pretty powerful thing. You might not see it that way, but I definitely see it as a very huge what's it called, growth in human beings.
Yeah, I probably couldn't agree like more, in the sense that, you know, it's fulfilling to a point where like after every week it just like, I think that's why this project has been really good for me and really cool for me, is because truly it's just this growing project, you know, every week. And that's what I really like about it, is that it's never done. There's always, like, after every week, you know, I'm thinking already about, like, you know, how can we improve things? You know, what are some areas that, like, I could tighten up, or new and interesting ways to keep people engaged or wanting to come back. And so it's kind of like my little baby, you know, like I get to like nurture this thing and really see it through from start to finish. And whenever finishes is completely up to me, which is really cool.
See, that's like I said, it's something I value, is that that's the growth of a leader. And you are, in a way, your own leader, that you can just move mountains. Thinking about moving a mountain, you know, it's like, that's the way I tackle things. Because like, if you could like if moving a mountain is so like astronomically impossible for you, but you do something small to like try to move it every day, eventually it's your mentality of like, it's not even about moving the mountain anymore. It's about that I will try and I will move it. You know what I mean? What about for you, Evan? Any hobbies, anything you've been trying to accomplish throughout this pandemic, or just even now this time?
Filling it in, I think I did a little bit of streaming, but definitely not to the extent that you have.
Yeah.
But filling it in with time with music and stuff. But I really like that mentality, not to just bounce off of like what I did, but
right.
When you were talking about moving the mountain, I think that's building habit or habits plural, is an extremely important factor of like, you know, just moving a few small rocks, and eventually over time, or even gaining not necessarily an audience, but people to join you,
right?
Or being in a certain environment where people are encouraged and encouraging each other to help move these rocks, ultimately moving a mountain,
right?
Creating something bigger than yourself,
right?
And I'm finding that with my own music, as I'm pursuing playing instruments better and working on an album, and just the progress of being a better musician, I get to find I'm meeting new people and also just creating new things, creating new experiences with the people I already know too. Right, is amazing.
And we still have so much to do, man. Like, we haven't done anal yet. We still have to. It's still early in the year.
very early in the year.
Yeah. In any case, let's keep moving on. We have so many more things, dude. Let's try this one.
I ain't gonna lie, homie. Sometimes, like, when you don't have a girl, homie, like, it gets a little lonely, dog. It gets a little lonely.
Oh, damn.
He goes, oh, damn.
Dude, wow. So I love women. I should definitely straight, like, I'm 100% straight arrow. I love women to death. I haven't dated anyone because I'm still working on myself.
Cool.
And like bringing where I was like 10 months ago, I was in the lowest of low. And I don't want to bring all that stuff to a girl. So now I'm just working on myself, and I feel like I'm much more level-headed. I'm a much more different person from back then. Or now I can actively achieve or pursue a solid relationship, or at least that's what I want to do, and then eventually move into a family, because that's the state that I'm in right now. Like I said, I'm gonna die soon, so I need to I need to make the hobbits, you know, I need to make the peoples, so I can actually have a family and start growing my own happiness.
Are there key things that you guys see in yourselves that you want to focus on, or you're excited to have for personal growth? Like any specific areas?
Like in terms of what I want to do eventually?
Yeah, whether it's eventually or just day to day, what do you find maybe inspiring, or like that you notice of yourself that you are excited to develop?
So for me, I'm developing more, I don't know if you see the Squirtle back here, but like I love to paint and do stuff. I have like a whole collection of paintings that I'm trying to sell as well. But that's one of the stuff that I'm trying to actively do, is when I make music, it's to sell it online. You know, when I make paintings, it's to sell it so I can make my own independence. Those are the small little things that I'm working and doing. I eventually want to make my own manga, because like that's the thing that I've been trying to do for years now. You know, I made a new story of a little Pokemon thing with the little girl. That's where she's from. A little sketch that I made, and I actively want to do these things because that's what I've been wanting to do for a long time now. But now it's like actively doing things feels like it's fulfilling myself. What about for you, Kev? What do you think?
I think for me, one of the coolest developments I have coming in right now is honestly music. That's a big thing that's always been important in my life since I can remember. I mean, even my first year of college, I tried going to music school, which I do air quotes. You know, music school is very real and
Right.
is very beneficial. I think I'm at a point in my life where it's like I'm trying to listen more to like the intuition and like feeling of things, and like I don't know, I think that's why I've really been jiving like jamming out with Evan and Graham and Aaron, and like being a part of that group is so like refreshing for me. I feel like I express it every time we jam out, because it's like it's such a cool feeling that like I just have to remind you guys every time how awesome it is to be like, even if we're incorrect, and that's something you guys have really been helping me teach myself, is kind of taking my own advice. You know, I work at a camp for arts camp, and you know, we work with young kids like 4th to 8th grade, and that's one of the more fulfilling activities and things in my life that I've done for years now. But I'm finally kind of applying that motto that I've been teaching for so long, which is one of the key things: make a loud mistake. Like, be comfortable enough in where you are and you know, the skin that you wear and who you are, to make a choice as you, and know that even if your choice doesn't go the way you wanted it to, that it's still your choice, and it was still a fine choice because you put your all into it. And so really finding that in music has been like something I'm really excited to like keep going with.
That's very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Nothing comes without a price, you know. Me learning to draw, or me learning to do something, I've learned through my failures, even running my business that I have right now. I've learned through all of my failures to now know what I shouldn't do, you know, and what I should do, and focus on those things. But nothing comes without a price, man. And like, even if it comes so insignificant as in like, you know, putting out 2 hours of a day for this, but for me, I really resonate with that part of like, you have to focus and have fun with what you got to do, you know. If you don't enjoy what you do, it's just kind of whatever. But for me, like, even playing guitar, playing piano, we're gonna mess up all the time, but you're doing something that's fun, and it's just, you don't see it as like, oh damn it, I messed up on a note. No, you just got to keep going, kind of like in theater. You're just like, if someone yells the word no or whatever the fuck, like out of nowhere, if it's like an improv scene, you have to go with it. It's part of the thing. But then it also makes you grow, like, oh, I shouldn't have done this or that during this part, and now okay, now we're ready for the next one. That's like the most positive way to look at things. What about for you, Evan?
Absolutely. No, I would definitely agree that it's such a yes and factor, like you brought up, and that's such a key factor in finding that within yourself. Like, I started improvising way more on piano, and this new piano job opportunity has allowed me to do, because of my lack of repertoire, I have pretty much 2 hours to fill. Right. And so I end up improvising quite a bit. And
which is good.
It's internally frustrating because I'm in a public setting. I put it mentally on myself to not mess up. Right. But what is messing up? And so whenever I do, it's trying to find a creative way to allow the mistake to unlock itself. I don't know how to describe it. In a technical way, if I'm in like E flat or whatever, and I play an accidental note that isn't in the diatonic fucking chord or in the scale, I'll make a way to flush it into what it needs to be, or what I'm hearing out of my own ear. And it's allowing the yes and to step in and be like, okay, we're going with this. Yeah. It's gonna mold its own way, and I don't have to worry about finding my own self to calm down and be like, okay, there's nothing to worry about. We just need to find a way to make it happen. Yeah.
This might sound weird, but the way I tackled piano was that I've seen it on a YouTube videos of like how to play piano, where they green out the parts that are going to be played, and then they red out the parts that are not going to be played. Do you do that mentally when you do that, when you're playing piano? You're
I see shapes.
Yeah.
And I hear it a lot from guitarists, and I don't talk to enough pianists, but I see the scale shapes. Right. And I'm seeing way more opportunity. It's interesting trying to develop my own jazz. Right. Because there's a lot more notes. Right. Just to put it simply.
Well, it's all laid out for you right there. Yeah.
And so to try to understand, I'm learning that every scale, everything has its own voice. Everything has like purpose. And so an F minor sounds way different than a C minor. And I don't know, it's finding where each individual sound can go. And I feel it's easier to demonstrate for you guys, but when I'm in a certain space, in a certain environment that I've created on a scale or like a key, let's say. Right. It's what I'm doing with it that helps shape it. Right. To create its own unique universe.
Yeah, you're just building the picture.
Absolutely.
Like in a puzzle, yeah. So something that I did for hobbies, right, is I don't mean to derail too much, but we were talking about hobbies, and I tried stand-up comedy for the first time.
Tell me about that.
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
I bombed. I totally fucking bombed. So when you go, I went to Acme Comedy over here in Minneapolis, and it was like a open mic on Tuesdays. Last 2 weeks ago, I thought it was going to be on Monday because that's what I saw on the website, and that day I rolled my fucking ankle at work. So I'm like, fuck. If this is the worst that it's going to be, then there's nothing anyone at stage can like tell me or do something to me to make me, to take away this pain. It's like, this is the worst that it's going to get. So I mentally put my mind ready to go to the Acme, but that was Monday. I find out that it's Tuesday, and I'm like, fuck my fucking life.
So then, did you use that as content material?
Well, here's the thing. So the next week rolls in. It's Tuesday. And I had this whole thing. Yes, I was going to tell that story, and I was going to tell about my whole dating experience throughout COVID or whatever. There was everyone else that went up, though, I was the third person up, by the way. When you're new, they want you to go first to get like it's your first time, and I was the first timer there. So I go there. I'm the third person up, and I wanted to be like more in like the fifth or sixth or seventh to get the vibe, because I don't know what the vibe is. I don't know if I can say or do things yet for what there, because like I had a whole thing ready, like rolling the ankle and talking about the dating thing, but people started off with that exact same thing, and you only have 3 minutes. 3 minutes is a long time, by the way. It's a long, good amount of time. If you don't get into rhythm, then yeah, you're stuck in those 3 minutes. If you do, it fly by like quickly. So I took down all of these notes, man. I mentally prepared myself. I got all these notes ready. I did everything to prepare myself. But at the end of the day, when those first 2 comics went up, it really put into perspective, like, oh shit, they were talking about the same things I was going to talk about, like online dating, all that stuff. Like, fuck. And I didn't want to like repeat and just follow off the trails of that. So I was the third one up. So when I went, I left my notebook there that had like what I was going to talk about, which is not good if you're a beginner. Like everything I took, like I said, all of those failures that from that night, I learned, and I know what to do for next time. I'm just pumped. I'm ready for fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I go up there and I tell the story of how I lost my fear of Chucky, the killer doll. So I told that story, and it did not kill. It just totally bombed. And the only reason I got collapsed and stuff is because people were saying like, "Oh, it's your first time, yay!" But it's like, fuck me, I totally fucking bombed. You can, dude. And when you bomb, there is no laughter. Everyone's just looking at you, waiting for something to happen. And I was this close to taking my clothes off. I was this fucking close. But it was really cool because Yoshi came and he brought some friends over. And I'm like, dude, thank you guys for coming. Just even you guys. I feel like it supported me in a much bigger way to like, they didn't give me so much pointers later on, but because it was getting late. But it was like barely informative, like what they liked, what was okay in their community. And then just like thinking about the overall scope of things. I took a lot of notes, and I'm super fucking ready for next time. But learning without failure is the biggest fucking thing.
Yeah.
But also, learning to fail is an interesting concept that I'm wrapping my mind around.
Yeah, and it's okay to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. And just being excited to fail.
Yeah.
In a way, like, for anything I do, it's prepping, like, for either a show or a performance or whatever I put my heart into. Things go wrong.
Yeah.
Or not as planned, should I say. Mm-hmm. And so it's being okay with that and treating everything, all the failures, as just an experience to learn rather than as something to pull away from. Or like once you meet negativity or the no, it's learning to go past that.
Right. What about for you, Kev? Do you feel like you ever messed up so big at like doing a screen testing or just like in an actual theater environment where you just screwed up your lines and you just had to go with it?
Oh yeah. Actually, it was. I'll never forget it, and it's so funny because a lot of those like, monumental mistakes you look back at and you just kind of laugh at because they probably weren't, such a big deal.
Right.
But it was my first show in high school, the first one I'd ever done.
Right.
And I'm on stage, and I got one of the lead roles because it was Lily and the Purple Plastic Purse. That was the show. It's a children's show, and Chester and Wilson, the two best friends of Lily. I was Wilson, and there's a picnic scene where we're all just out having a picnic.
Right.
And I was sitting cross-legged, and we had tails because we're mice. And I didn't realize that my tail was under my foot when I was sitting at the picnic. And so I stood up and ripped my tail off on stage. And I'm standing there, and my friend Tony Palomo, and who is Chester, he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And he recovered. He recovered for me. He looked at me, and he was like, "Oh, you forgot to take your medicine again, didn't you?"
That's a quick line.
And
wow.
It was so like witty and quick, and it was just like, obviously,
he saved it. Oh
right.
my god.
But making the light out of it.
Exactly. And I think that's where theater helps me again, you know, is like those quick moments where it's like, you know, how quick can you just like bounce back into rhythm, even in face of something that should have been like derailing for the show, you know, because I very easily could have just said nothing, red-faced, bent down and grabbed my tail and walked off stage.
Oh my god.
But instead, you know, it was turned into one of the better like improv scenes of the show.
That's
Hell
amazing, man.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was I will never forget this either. I was playing at I think it was Foursquare or for somewhere in Minneapolis downtown with my old Christian hardcore band, and all my strings just broke in like the first song. Could you imagine how angry I was? So I was like, I'm fucked, and I was like so disappointed, and I couldn't play that first song. And then one of the other guitarists came up and he's like, dude, take my guitar and you can play this. I'm like, fuck yes, thank you so much. But I learned from there. Always change your strings. Little things like that like peek at your humility. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, dude, you will never forget those moments. Those are the growing moments.
Definitely.
Do you ever do that for yourself?
I guess I have never broken a string live, which I'm very thankful for.
Well, when you play bass, it's almost impossible.
It's probable.
Yeah.
At some point it will happen, but when that happens, that's gonna be very interesting for me.
It's just gonna snap and kill someone in the first row, man.
Especially if it's the higher strings. The low strings are surprisingly low tension, so if they break, they just kind of flop.
Right.
But the G string and how thick the cable is, it's concerning if I snap,
let it
at
rip.
the right tension.
it could go and take somebody's eye out, which is concerning. But at the same time, I hope that I can develop as a musician to avoid those things and know my limits.
Oh, absolutely, dude. That's great stuff, man. Let's keep trugging on here. We only got a couple minutes left, actually. So let's do this one. I can't play the whole thing because it's gonna make me cry. Do you guys believe in love, man? We were just talking about online dating.
Kevin, do you believe in love?
Yeah, man.
Do I believe in love? What a tricky question, because like
Unfold how many ever layers you feel.
Oh yeah.
right,
Peel
well,
back the sausage.
That's such a broad topic.
exactly, and so it's a lot to unpack. Do I believe in love? Yes, is the short answer. But again, you know, I kind of touched on it earlier, and it's especially prominent in the area of love, where it's, you know, it's ever changing. It's so hard to like pin down what it actually should be, and so
Right.
to say I believe in it is kind of.
Have you ever seen it? Let's go with that, or like seen
ever
something
seen
that
it.
like, whoa, this is what love is, or whatever.
I think I see it in little moments every day. Actually, it's really funny you mentioned that, because I felt like I did. I was driving through Minneapolis on my way home. I dropped a friend off at work, and as I'm driving home, I saw this couple, and you know, it's always those little moments, those candid moments. I did photography for a long time, and it makes me want to always have my camera on me, because those little moments are so precious, you know, where, you know, like it was two women, and she grabbed her partner's hand, and the other one just smiled, and they were walking out of the diner. And little moments like that, you know, where I would say, you know, in that little moment, that was genuine love. Or even like, and love doesn't have to be like such a heavy word, you know. I feel like it gets like really intense. You know, people hear the word love and they're like, whoa.
Well,
you know,
in the wrong context, it's like it's your first time, you know, on a date, and like, you know, you guys go home and you guys are about to have sex, and then they turn, you know, put on a strap on, and then you look back at them and they're like, I love you. And it's like, oh no, this is bad. And it's like too soon. So I get that.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so but you know, it was even really cute. Evan, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna put you in a
Please
spotlight.
do.
But
Go for it.
Even last night, you know, the night was winding down. We were all just kind of vibing on the couch,
Right.
and Evan and his lady were monkey. We're just chilling on the couch, and you know we had an astronomical amount of drinks, and so they were just kind of like resting into each other, and there was one little, and that's what I always say, those little moments. Evan turned his head and he kissed her on just like the top of her head,
Right.
and you didn't get to see it, but I got to see it from an outside perspective.
What?
She grinned and smiled and leaned into you more, and those little moments are those ones that I'm like, you know, I think it genuinely is out there, and I do think it is a thing. It's so hard to box it, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Be like, this is love.
It's a big concept, man. Like for me, I've only seen it in my parents, with my mom and my stepdad. That to me is like, it was and will always be the example of the perfect relationship, what love actually is. And you, like you said, these just little moments that, like, when I reflect on it now, older, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is I want to build a healthy, not perfect, because no relationship is perfect, but just these little things where, like, we get each other, we vibe, and we want to do these things.
Absolutely.
But Evan, I didn't know you were such a romantic, man. You don't do that with me. What an asshole.
You're calling me out here.
I know, I put him on blast.
No, it's good. And Arturo, I can't express how deeply sorry I am. I don't allowed myself to express enough with you.
I mean, just once in a while, man. It'd be nice. And just here in my apartment by myself. My fucking tangerines over there are fucking molded, dude. I'm fucking breaking down here. I can't get any kind of passion from you.
I don't know what to say. I'm a little speechless.
For the record, I do love Evan with all my heart, so I just want that to be put out there.
But I do want to talk about those little moments. Gonna be a little vulnerable. Like, I fucking love those little moments as well. And I get butterflies when those moments happen. Because, like, when you either squeeze, like, someone's hand a little bit tighter, and they squeeze back, or whatever it is, it's reassuring to have another presence there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And it's really satisfying for me personally. Would you guys
Absolutely
say the same for yourselves? Like, when you get to see those moments, you can, whether see it, experience, feel it, whatever, feel a certain way?
Yeah, I think for me, my last 7 years I've been in a relationship. I was with my girlfriend from high school, my high school sweetheart.
Oh, wow, okay.
My first heartbreak, and you know, she, you know, that was all very new to me. But I'm actually really grateful for that relationship for a lot of reasons, because it kind of taught me at a really early age that, you know, that kind of love is like, and this is why I say it's real, is because while we're not together, we haven't been together for several years. We're now, you know, within the last year, especially after COVID, we're now comfortable enough where, like, we can still, like, check in with each other. You know, she's happily seeing this guy Leaf, and, you know, they seem very happy with each other. And, you know, that doesn't, like, affect me like that anymore. You know, I'm not, like, jealous or anxious or, you know, like, worried. But instead, it's just that love, the box, has now taken a different shape, and that's still okay. And I really, so I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm kind of getting off topic.
Well, no, so for me, I was just gonna touch on that.
Yeah.
I always think that there's, for your entire life, there's a span of people that are going to be in your life and that are going to come in the right moment. For me, all the girlfriends that I've ever had, even like the worst ones, I've always gotten something much more positive in myself after reflecting on those things. And even my last girlfriend, who, when we came back from Mankato, we broke up in Mankato, but we were like not living together. We were really close by in these apartments that were like kind of separate or whatever. But we were gonna move in together. But at the end of the day, she wanted to, what's it called, do something else and like live a different lifestyle from what we were, because I was ready for a commitment and I was gonna marry her and everything and start working towards that. But she didn't want that, which is totally fine. I'm not gonna force anyone to like, you know, bind someone down. But from there, years later, even though we broke up, and it definitely hurt, right?
Absolutely.
I learned that I wasn't perfect in that. Even though like I changed as a person from even the last girlfriend before that, like significantly, as in like how I treat people and how I just get along with them. And I thought with going with my last girlfriend, it was the most, it was the closest thing I've ever gotten to like a perfect relationship. And she was so we got each other. She got me and I got her. It was perfect. But then like years later, we met. Just surprisingly, I was at a soccer game, and then she was there with her mom, like watching a play that was going on upstairs. I think it was High School Musical or some shit like that. And she was like, I was only here because she was gonna give me a ride to a friend's house or to go hang out with him. And I'm like, you know what? It was just even though I don't have romantic feelings for her anymore, I still love her as a person.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's a very strong thing to do, and even to admit in those moments. But I told her like, whatever, if you still want to hang out, I still love you for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting a call from the Graham Cracker, so give me like 10 seconds. Let's do it.
Live on the air.
Live on the air. Yo, what's up, Graham? You're live on the podcast. What's going on? Hello, Graham?
Is your volume up?
I think so. Graham, hello. Huh? It's like he called me, but his thing was on thing. Let me call him back and get his input real quick. Oh, he said he can't talk. Oh, he might have accidentally butt dialed me. Okay, we're good.
We're good.
I don't know what the heck that was. But anyway.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Well, dude, like I said, love is it's a bigger topic.
Yeah.
And it takes more time to actually
and I think
go
it's
into
super cool to be able to go down each rabbit hole that larger topics have. Like for such a small word that love is, there's so many avenues that it can take, does take, and
so many stems.
absolutely.
Oh, I got a thing from Graham here.
I'm driving right now, and I can't figure out how to get my phone to work. But we're headed back from Breeze right now. I'm hungover as shit, but we should be there at 11:30. So we'll all walk in the door at the same time. We'll see you in a bit.
All right, cool. I can't. Well, how do I just send him a? This is how old I am. I'm like, fuck, Scoops, how to get the. All right, Graham. We'll see you in a bit. I'll see you in like a bit. 11:30. Okay, bye. Cool.
Excellent.
All right, cool. Yeah, so love is such a bigger thing, man, and we'll get more into it later on. But for right now, Kevin, it's been fucking amazing having you on here, man.
Thank
I've
you
been
for
wanting to have
joining
you.
us.
Dude.
This is our actual
having
real
me.
conversation that we've ever had, and we need to have more of these, man.
I'm glad. I was happy to be a part of it and share my thoughts too, and to hear your guys. It's
big, man.
I love it.
I have an outro, but do you have a last words?
No, I don't.
Fantastic, man. I haven't seen this. At least I don't remember. So we're going into this blind. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and follow Kevin on the Twitters and all that stuff. I'll put it on the link below, and see you guys next week. Bye bye.